Welcome back to ISSA Show North America 2021. I'm Allison Croft. Our next guest is Liz Trotter with Cleaning Profit Builders. She has a presentation on how to talk so your managers listen. Hi, Liz.
Hi, how are you doing today? I appreciate the introduction. All right, so a lot of people here today. I'm kind of surprised so many people on this last day. Yay! You guys are committed, right? You guys are the ones that want to get every last ounce out of this event. Good for you. I'm kind of that same vein, obviously. Sorry for those of you that don't have seats, you're standing, stuff back there, y'all. All right, so today we're going to talk about how to talk so your managers will listen, and also how to listen so your managers will talk. Because sometimes isn't that even more important, right? You got to be listening, you got to be talking, but you have to do it in a way that the people that you're talking to actually absorb the information and want to work with you and not work against you. Because have you ever been in that situation? You're working with someone and they're not on your side. Don't want to be there again. Don't want to be there again. It's hard, right? So I'm going to be talking about two of my very favorite things. And the first one is something that I call platinum rule. Has anybody here ever heard of platinum rule? Nobody? All right. Oh, you have. Yeah, you shouldn't want to raise your hand. All right. All right. Anybody else? Give me a nod for all y'all that don't want to raise your hand. No? Okay, well, we got at least one person. So how about the golden rule? Have any of you heard of the golden rule? Okay, now we got a lot of hands, a lot of nodding. All right, so the golden rule says, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself, right? Okay, well, the platinum rule takes that up a notch. Instead of doing unto others the way you would have done unto yourself, it says, do unto others the way they would have done unto themselves. You guys hear the difference there? All right, the example I like to use with this is, I am the type of person that when I am stressed out, I start backing up. I start needing space. So if bad things are happening, I need to get away from you. Now, my best friend, when she's under stress, she goes in for the hug. Right? She's getting closer and closer and she wants a big old hug. So when I'm stressed out or something bad's going on with me, she's coming in for the hug and I'm like, what are we doing right now? Stop. So we had to learn that when she's upset, even though I'm not liking the whole big hugging thing, I go in for the hug. And when I'm upset, even though she's starting to go in for the hug, she'll back up. Right? So that's platinum rule. How that plays out in everyday life is everybody gets what they want. What? How amazing is that? That's what we're all looking for anyway. All right, so that's the first thing that I really, really care about that we're going to be talking about today. And then the second thing that we're going to be talking about today is another passion of mine, and that's DISC. Have you guys heard of DISC? Behavioral styles? Lots of nodding. All right, good. I'm glad because I don't have a lot of education just on DISC. I have just some education on how to use the DISC behavioral styles to talk with your managers and how to listen so your managers will talk. All right, so those two things, the platinum rule and my DISC training, really came together for me in a big way to help me be able to work with the people that I'm involved with in a way that they feel, not how I feel, they feel very protected and supported and cared for and like they don't want to leave my company. Does this all sound good to everybody? Yes. All right, great. I'm glad that it sounds good to you because that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so on this slide we have a ton of information. I only have 4 slides. Look at this. That's it, 4 slides. But every slide has a ton of information. On this slide, we're talking about the high D behavioral style. And for those of you who aren't familiar with DISC, the high D stands for dominance. The person that is the high D behavioral style, they tend to be very driven. They're doers. They like to get stuff done and take charge of things, and they like to dominate the situation. Anybody know anybody like that? Yeah? Some of you here are like that, right? Many of you here are like that. A lot of times entrepreneurs are high Ds. All the time? Absolutely not. But a lot of times they are because they're drivers. They like to get things done. All right, sometimes we're going to hire managers that are also high Ds, high dominance, that like to get things done. Does this sound like somebody who might be a good fit in a company? What do you guys think? Like as a manager, an operations manager, a general manager? I think so. I like people who are driving and driven to get things done. Right? I love those people. They're great. Now, if you are also high D, you might not like them as much because you might have a little bit of this thing going on, right? They're driving like this, you're driving like this, so sometimes it's not as great. I am not high D, so I love these people. Right? These are some of the things that we know about with our high Ds. I think I got a little pointer here. Maybe not. Guess what? I got this really magic thing. A lot of you have these fingers. All right, we're going to talk about this ideal environment. So the ideal environment for the high D behavioral style is that they like freedom from controls. They like to have challenges. They like to be moving forward. They like to be doing new things. They like to have a fast environment. They do not want to be in an area where nothing changes, everything is the same all day long. They hate that. Absolutely hate it. Right? For those of you that are high D, I can tell already because you're nodding your heads. You're like, yes, I hate it. Hate it, hate it. I want to do stuff. I want to go. I want to be doing things and I want to be busy. That's your high Ds. All right. Limitations. Overuse of their position. Sometimes you high Ds out there set your standards too high, higher than the people around you. Yes, a lot of high Ds nodding their heads or faces turning red, Amber. Yes, okay. So sometimes the standards are too high and you don't even recognize it because you would do that, right? I'd do that. I could get that done. I'm all over that. But not everybody has your level of drive. All right, another one is they can lack tact and diplomacy. Anybody else agreeing with that one? Yeah, a lot of laughing there, right? Like, oh yeah, sometimes. But here's the deal. With the high D, it's not like they're bad people. It's not like they don't have tact. They're in a hurry. So sometimes they leave out some of those really important words like please, right? So I need you to go to the store and grab blah, 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 blah. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Right? And where really they could probably get somebody moving just as quickly with, hey, I need you to go to Costco, I need you to grab blank, blank, and blank, please. And get that done as quick as you can. All right, so those are your high Ds. All right, we have a tendency under stress. Oh, I keep forgetting that I don't have a little pointer here. So the tendency of the high Ds when they are stressed out is that they're demanding. They're like, I want what I want right now. They're nervy. They'll say things that you're like, I cannot believe that you just said that to me. Like, who would say that, Heidi? Heidi would say that all day long. They can be aggressive. So you guys have seen these customers of yours. They get upset. They're bothered by something, even if it's minor, and they start getting louder. They start getting in your face. We can't tell because the Botox show, but I really do have, like I'm making an angry face right now, right? So they'll get that angry thing going on, right? So that's your high Ds. A lot of times if you don't know what somebody's behavioral style is, put them under just a little bit of stress and you'll be able to tell who they are. Okay. So we have a high D. Let's pretend that we have a high D. Because the presentation that we have here today is how to talk so that our high D will listen, and then also how to listen so that our high Ds will talk. So we got a high D. How do we need to talk? Anybody? How do we need to talk? Very direct, short to the point. Yes, what else? Respect. Ds don't really care as much, shockingly, about respect. Shockingly, right? That's why they're nervy. That's why they're the way they are, because they don't even recognize that. So that's a really good one that you would think applies to every person on the planet. When really not so much with the Ds. They're like, you can get away with a lot with a high D. They do, yes. Yeah, Amber's making a great point. They like it when you're nervy. They like it when you do the things. You're direct. What's one really good word for them too? Well, there's so many good words. This is the one I'm looking for. Fast. Blunt is good too. They like you to do things fast. Get to the point, do the thing fast. Does this appear to be a high D based on what I'm saying? It's not a high D, right? We're not thinking this is a high D. Later, I'm going to be doing this exact same thing, and you guys are going to know exactly who I'm talking about, okay? All right, but it's not a high D. How about this? How about this person? Yeah, now my stage is only so big because you know the high Ds would be going a lot further and a lot faster and a lot harder, right? So those are your Ds. All right, so I need to talk to that high D, and she's my manager, but I'm the boss. I'm the boss. I need her to be listening to me, not me so much always listening to her. How am I going to do that? Anybody? Fast, right? So I'm going to talk to her fast. I'm going to call her out. I'm going to be blunt. All of the words that we were just saying, that's exactly, say it again. Absolutely intentional. They love that, right? Absolutely. So that's how I'm going to talk so that that high D is ready to listen to me. Because I'm doing it in a way that makes sense to her. She's like, yes, I love that. Yeah, and she's ready. Now, say it again. That's right. And then, how do I need to listen? Does it matter how you listen? What does that mean? Well, how do you listen? What do I mean? Anybody? So I need to listen in the same way. I need to listen intently. I need to have my eyes wide open. I need to be leaning forward. I need to be paying attention. I need to look like I'm ready to spring into action. Because that D wants to see that. They want to see that you're really paying attention hard. If I'm doing this with a high D, yeah. Okay. So what are we doing? What? Is my high D going to continue talking to me? No. Yeah, she's going to be upset with me. She's going to be irritated. She's going to feel like I don't care what she has to say. She is not going to want to talk to me. How long is that high D going to work for me, with me? High Ds work with you, y'all, just so you know. They don't tend to work for you. They work with you. But how long is she going to work with me? If I'm like constantly distracted, I'm not listening to her. That's right, she's not. As soon as she can find a better job, she's moving on. Exactly. All right, everybody feel like they have a little idea about my Ds? All right, good. I'm going to move on to my Is. So my high Is, anybody hear a high I? You guys know a lot of disc. High Is, okay, we got some high Is out here. High Is tend to smile a lot. They tend to talk a lot. They tend to have a lot to say. They can appear cheery. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily always cheery, but they can appear cheery. One of the things I wanted to point out real quick, value to the team, optimism and enthusiasm. They bring it. They like to bring that. And they bring it naturally. This is the thing that we like about DISC. You know how DISC brings that drive naturally? They don't have to be forced to. You don't have to tell them to hurry because your Ds are doing it. You don't have to tell your Is to be optimistic or enthusiastic. Now, they might not move like me, right? But they're going to be inspiring. Your high Is, the I stands for influencing. So your high Is, no matter how they speak, they're listening from a place, or they're talking from a place of you wanting to listen to them. And when you listen to them, you'll feel like, oh, yeah, I want to do that thing when you're dealing with a high I. Now, your high Is, when you're under pressure, they're self-promoting. So your high Is are the ones that are like, yeah, I was with so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so at dinner last night. What'd you do last night? Oh, sorry. All right? They'll tell you how they're great. They don't do as snotty as I just said, because high Is are optimistic and really tend to be friendly. They can be sarcastic because they have a great sense of humor a lot of times. So your high Is, oh, we got a high I in the front row going, yeah, we can do that, yeah. But under stress, under pressure, they can be overly optimistic. So your high I's are the ones that this employee has called out 5 times this month, and she's also been late to work 10 times, and your high I will say what? She's had a bad life. It's been a rough time. We just got to give her another chance. Yeah, you guys don't understand because, you know, I see all of this good in her. Look at how sweet she is. She cleans really well on the 2 days that she makes it into the job, right? That's your high I's. So if you're not sure, put somebody under pressure, and if they get overly optimistic, we're looking at a high I. One of the stories I like to tell about high I, most people have 2 behavioral styles above what we call above the line. So we talk in terms of high style. So my style is SI, and sometimes I'll flip around to be IS when I'm under a lot of pressure. So one time, my husband and I were coming home from a trip. We'd been away, we'd been on a cruise for 7 days, coming into port, and we had to do all this stuff. We're not coming home until like 12:30 in the morning. It's raining, it's dark, I'm tired, we're both tired. We've been up since early in the morning, and we get a flat tire. Now my husband is not high I, and you'll know more about this later, but he is high C. And so I said, oh my gosh, we're so lucky. Oh my gosh, so lucky. He was like, not now, Liz. Not now. And I'm like, yeah, but really, we are. Honey, look, there's nobody on the road, and it's such a beautiful night. He was like, it's raining. I'm like, we haven't seen rain in so long. We've been in the Caribbean, and it's been so sunny. He's like, Liz, seriously, not now. Because you're high I's. They can't help it. They're not trying to do that. They're like, oh, all I can see is how awesome this is. Nobody on the road, nobody's going to hit you. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, not good, but that's a really good indicator of your high I's. They see what's going well. All right, so I want to talk to my high I's. I've got a high I who's a manager. How am I going to talk to my high I? Because I want them to listen to me. Am I going to come up to my high I and say, hey, Warren, you and I, we have a little bit of a problem. And if we don't get it fixed, it might be the end of your time here at the company. Is that going to work well for our high I? No. No. They're like, scrambling. Oh, what's going on? They want what they like, right? And what they like is, let's show me some overly optimism, whatever the word is I'm trying to say. Be overly optimistic, right? Be happier for me. Be gabby, be cheery. So they want me to say something like, Warren, oh my gosh, so dude, looks like you've been having a little bit of a problem. I'm talking really, really fast. You've been really struggling lately. What's going on, dude? How can I help you? You've been missing so much time. Do you need something from me? I'm not even giving him a chance to talk, am I? No, don't worry, you know we love you. This is not a big deal, but we got to get this fixed. Yeah, he's like, yes, that's perfect. I love that. That'd be so good. Do that for me, because that's your high I's. If you come at them that way, they're like, I can totally handle this. And you know what he's going to say? Oh, yeah, Liz, I'm sorry. Oh, you know, it's just been one of those days, but I'm going to get it together because I'm this amazing employee. You know, nobody's got your back like I do. And he's going to tell you how amazing he is, right? Because he's a little under pressure. And so he's going to be self-promoting. He's going to tell you how great he is, right? Nobody's going to be there for you like I am, blah, blah, blah. Can we get the response, or can we get the outcome that we want from a high I with this response? Can we? Because doesn't it seem like they're just like kind of flaky almost, and like they're not paying attention? They're not going to, yeah, we got some nodding. So how do you get the outcome that you're looking for? Because we want them to listen, do what we want, right? Here's the trick, here's the magic. That's it. Because you had that serious conversation with them that felt serious to them, they're going to change their behavior. Because it felt like it. And nobody deals with them that way. They love it. They're used to people coming at them. yelling at them, giving them a hard time, telling them what they're doing wrong. This other way of approaching them makes them feel very at ease and at home. Can you all see that? Because it's what they want and how it works for them. All right, so now how do I listen for a high I? Anybody? Nodding is good. Yeah, nodding, smiling, absolutely. While they're talking to me, absolutely. Bigger emotions are better. Let them talk a lot, because high I's get interrupted a lot because they talk a lot. Right? So people are constantly interrupting them, and they interrupt other people. So let them have their space. Let them say their things. Let them talk until they don't want to talk anymore. Maybe not that long. Oh, yeah, I don't think we have that kind of time, right? So, because they will talk almost forever. So keep letting them have their thing. All right, so that's how we talk that's how we talk with them so that they'll listen, and it's also how we listen to them so that they can talk. Whew, that's a tough little tongue twister there. All right, the next is the high S, and the high S stands for steadiness. Your high S behavioral style likes things to be the same. Steadiness, same, strong, systems. They like things to work the way they've always worked, and they just like things to be steady. It feels good if things are just going along the way they've always gone. Your high S's don't like a lot of change. Your high S's don't want you to change for no reason. They don't mind change, but you got to have a good reason, and then it makes sense, because now we're doing this steady thing again. Does this all make sense? All right, so we're looking at our high S's. What's the value to the team? Number one for me, dependable. Your high S's are the ones that they stick at your job. So a lot of people talk about how I have this amazing situation with employees that stay with my company, this amazing retention. And they always want to know the secret. And I always tell them all of these things that aren't true, because I don't want them to know my secret. No, I'm lying right now. I tell them, but they don't believe me. The trick is, hire the right people. Hire the kind of people that stay at your company. If you hire those people, now I don't want to say this because I don't want to give anybody the wrong idea, but even if you don't treat them amazingly, they'll still stay, because they like to stay at a company. I'm not saying treat them badly, obviously. And I'm really big on treating my people very well. You can kind of tell just by my commitment to Platinum Rule, right? I'm looking for ways to treat them in the way that will work for them, okay? So I treat them well, but really the trick? Hire me a lot of high S's. Hire me a lot of people that like to stick with their job. They like to stay there. All right. Best responses. Oh, I didn't want to go that one. Had somebody put these slides together for me a week ago, and she put them together in a different order that I'm unfamiliar with. So I'm still trying to figure out what's going on over here. So that is one of the downsides of hiring a VA from the Philippines. All right, that's one of the downsides. All right, so the thing I was looking for is tendency under stress. So right here, the top one is the biggest one that you want to know and that you want to be able to watch out for. So you put a high S under stress, and this is what they look like. You've seen them. The people, you're like, listen, we've got this problem, and blah, 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 blah. Mrs. Jones called, and the team is locked out, and they're the ones that locked them out, and the dog is going all over the place. Oh, my gosh. And your high S is like, okay. And you're like, wake up! Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Right? You guys have been there. You've seen those people. That's your high S's. It's not that they're unconcerned. It's not that they're not paying attention. It's that the emotion that hits them comes from the outside. Right? So the high S's feel emotion coming at them, and so it blocks them. It shuts them down. Your high D's, we talked about earlier, feel the emotion coming from inside. Right? So the high D's feel it coming from inside, as do your I's. Your I's also feel it coming from inside. It's like, it's just popping up automatically. I'm feeling all like happy and cheery and inspirational, and your D's are feeling all angry. Does it mean that they're angry people? It does not. Does it mean that your eyes are just only optimistic, that they only see the bright side of things? It does not. Does it mean with your high S's that they don't care? It does not. It's just coming at them, and this is how they appear for you. So it's really easy to see a high S and to be able to recognize them, find them, and the word I'm looking for, I think, was recognize again, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what we're looking for, is those high S's that we can see want to be really, really steady. All right, the emotion of the high I is called unemotional or non-emotional, but really it's just they're processing, they're thinking, they're figuring out where we're going to go next and what we're going to do. All right, so I have a high S. How do I need to talk to my high S so they can listen to me and so they can hear me? Who said something? Yeah. Calmly, yes. Yes, absolutely. Say it again. Not so much with data. High S's don't need data so much, but they won't be offended by data. Not at all. Like your high I's, you don't want to be hitting them with data. They're like, what are we talking about right now? But yeah, go ahead. Yes, unemotional, matter of fact, we're just going to state the facts. We're just going to talk about what's going on. We don't have to have our mean face on because that just adds more stress and more pressure. But we do want to present calmly, unemotionally, and directly to the point, okay? Does that make sense? Yeah, all right, good. So let's say we have a high S. Remember, they've gone flat. Now they're looking like this. But we need them to talk. How are we going to get them to talk? Anybody? We can ask them questions, but slowly. One question at a time. So my high I sometimes kicks in to my high S's, and it sounds kind of like this. So what'd you do? Who were you talking to? Did you get a hold of anybody on the phone? And the high S is doing this. Oh, all right, it's too much. Too much, too fast, too intense. They can't handle that. So yes, a question is good for high S, and then what? Wait, 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 wait. And they are going to be really steady, so when they start talking, they're going to have something good to say. Love me some high S's because of that. They're going to process the information, and then they're going to tell us stuff, but it's going to be good. It's worth the wait. It is totally worth the wait. Where you know sometimes with your high I's, they start talking, and you're like, okay, I got to pay attention, because I'm not sure when they're going to give me the goods. And they're going to say so much stuff. Not with your high S's. When your high S's talk, listen. They've got something good to say. All right, so now let's say that I've listened, I'm nodding, I'm calm, I'm unemotional, right? Then what do I do? Do we have the, best responses here? I haven't talked a lot about these, but I'm going to talk about it with the high S. Because for the high S's, your response matters a lot, especially with your managers. So it would be really, really helpful for them to hear one of these things from you after you listen. Thank you for taking the time to let us know about this. Thank you. They love hearing thank you. The next one would be, we'll take care of this immediately. And that's because they want things to be steady and the same. So if you're not providing that for them, then they feel more out of control. So the sooner you can say to them, we'll get this fixed, we'll take care of this, the sooner they can calm down and start to feel better. And then the last one there is, if it's a customer, I appreciate your business, but for our, what would the version for our manager be? Yeah, I appreciate your hard work. Right? I appreciate you bringing this to me. I appreciate you putting such thought into what you're saying right now. What do you appreciate? Because appreciation is about the other person again, isn't it? Just like Platinum Rule. So what do you appreciate about them? Make sure you tell them that. Critical with your high S's if you want to get them to stay. And who doesn't want them to stay? They're amazing. All right, the next one, and this is the last style. This is a style, high C, is called compliance. So your high C's are all about compliance, making sure that things are done correctly and that people do things right and they do things right and they just like things to be done well and done correctly. They really believe your high C behavioral style believes that if everybody just followed all the rules all the time, the world would be a better place. Most of the other styles don't think that. They're like, yeah, but there's a lot of yeah, buts in there, right? Not for your high C's. What kind of a job might a high C be good at? Manager, y'all. Rules. Managers. Yeah, right? This is what we're talking about today, how to talk so your managers will listen. So your high C's is a really great style for your managers. But you will notice that as we've been going through this presentation, wouldn't D's be great for a manager? Absolutely. How about your high I's? Absolutely. And your S's? Of course. And how about your C's? Of course. They're all good. This is the magic of DISC. This is why I'm passionate about DISC. Everybody in your company can have value. And all of your managers can have value as long as you work with them in a way that works for them. It sounds so simple, but it is not at all simple. All right, let's talk about our high C's. High C's are generally known to be the most irritating people on the planet. So just heads up, all right? And the reason for that is they have two things kind of working against them, but that also work for them. The first one is rule followers. Right? And most of us are not huge rule followers all the time. We follow the rules that we like and we don't follow the rules that we don't, right? Your high C's, they just really like to follow the rules. Now, am I saying that they never speed? No, I'm not saying that. Am I saying that they never go out and get high? I'm not saying that either. Probably a bad example here, but bad example, yeah. Yeah, I'm getting a bad face over here. It's like, yeah, Liz, take that one back real quick. But do they break rules? Yes, they will. But for the most part, they do follow the rules. So in your company, they're going to follow your rules as well. And they're going to want everyone else to follow your rules in your company. That's a really big thing about high C's is remember, they think that if everybody followed the rules, the world would be a better place to live. So that is not fun for all the rest of the people. That's the first one. The second thing with the high C's is these are your people that appear to be defensive, right? These are the ones that are telling you, yeah, but so-and-so did it. Yeah, but I saw somebody else do that. No, I did it perfectly the first time. She's being too picky. The reason why your high C's do this is under pressure, they feel pessimistic, picky, fussy, and overly critical. But the emotion of the high C, remember how we're talking about when they're under pressure, everybody has an emotion. Some emotions pop up from inside, some come at us, right? The emotion of the high C comes from inside, and it's fear. They feel afraid. They feel afraid that somebody's going to think they got it wrong, they didn't do it right, they didn't try hard enough, they didn't do the things that they were supposed to do, and that they're going to end up being the wrong one. And that's intolerable for your high C's. So the reason why they can tend to be irritating is, one, they're going to hold you to really high standards, and then if they do anything wrong, they're going to deflect. Right? They're going to tell you how it wasn't them. So your high C's can seem like they are hypocritical. And how many of us are like, oh my gosh, I love me some hypocrites? Yeah, not a lot of us. Not a lot of us at all. All right, high C's. We still have to talk to our high C's, and we've all decided we love high C's for being our rule followers, our managers, right? We have to talk to them in a way that they can listen to us, but not get defensive. How are we going to do that? Who's got some ideas? How are we going to talk to them so they'll listen to us? Say it again?
Restate policy.
Yeah, maybe. So restate policies? Is that what you said? Is that, I don't know who said it. All right, restate the policies.
Yeah, so if they are, if they're not in compliance or not in compliance with enforcing it, restating the policy as lacking so that they have a clearer understanding possibly to better enforce it.
Okay, so this is what we would naturally think would make really good sense. I think this is probably what all of us think we should do with a high C's. I love that answer because it seems like the logical thing to do with high C's. They're big rule followers. Let's restate the rule and show them exactly how this is going. It can work against you though, because don't forget that fear, and fear is powerful. Powerful. Nothing is more powerful than fear, right? We've all dealt with that in our businesses too, right? So nothing is more powerful, and they will deflect. So the way to handle a D to get them to talk to you is reduce the fear. Calm them down. Get them to feel better before you start talking about the thing. Because when you come to them and start talking, they instantly know something's wrong. So the first words out of your mouth have to be calming, take away the fear. What are some examples? You got something? Yeah. All right, good. So she knows exactly.
Missile can't get to its target without positive and negative feedback.
Okay.
So our goal is whatever it is, I'm going to give you negative feedback and positive feedback so we can get there.
High C's love that strategy. They don't mind hearing the bad stuff as long as they know they're also going to hear the good stuff, and it's not about them being bad. They don't want it to be that they're bad. The situation can be bad. They can be okay with that. But not that they're bad, they're wrong, they're making mistakes. So some more things that you can say to a high C are things like, all right, so we have to have a tough conversation, but don't worry, it's nothing you did wrong. Can you see how that instantly puts them at ease? But relax, it's not something you're in trouble for. High C's don't like to be in trouble because they don't know how to respond to that. It's like, they just feel so bad, right? So tell them they're not in trouble. Well, what if I have to write them up? What if it's a manager and I have to write her up for something? She's actually doing something wrong, right? Then what do I say? Same kind of thing. Listen, I need to have a serious conversation, but don't worry. It's not that you're doing anything wrong per se. It's just that we have something that we need to manage. It's a situation that needs to be managed and handled. Are you ready? Are you okay? You want to chat about that? Sometimes your high C's might need a little bit of time too, just to get rid of the fear. Because they don't like being that way any more than your high D's like being angry. Your high I's don't like being overly optimistic. Your high S's don't like being flat. And your high C's don't like feeling afraid. So sometimes they might need a little bit of time because fear is so powerful. We all agree, right? Fear is so powerful. All right. So that's how we can get them to talk to us. We can lay a landscape for them where they can feel comfy coming and talking, right? Now we have to listen so that, I went backwards, didn't I? That's how we can talk so that they can hear what we have to say. We can lay this landscape that is nice and calm for them, where they're not wrong, they're not bad, only the situation is a problem. They're not a problem. All right, now how do we listen to them? How do we listen to our high C's? Anybody? We listen non-judgmentally. Same thing, we nod, we listen. We want them to tell us all of the stuff. Your high C's, when they're under stress, look what they're gonna do. They're gonna be pessimistic. If you're a high I, that's gonna drive you insane. You have to just stop. Let them be pessimistic. They're going to tell you what's wrong. They're gonna tell you what the problems are. They're picky, they're overly critical. They're gonna tell you exactly what's wrong and who's wrong and why they did it. And they have a tendency at times, not all, but they can have a tendency to say things like, someone is stupid maybe, right? Make a judgment on them. So we do not want to create an environment where that's happening for them. So we're listening, they're saying the things. Now, what do we say? How do we respond so that they'll keep talking? Because what do we want to say? Hey, listen, you need to fix your attitude, right? You need to fix your attitude. You can't be talking like that. Everybody's not all wrong. It's you. We start wanting to tell them how they're wrong because they're defending so strongly that we feel the need to hit on them. Wrong. You guys can see how that's wrong, right? All right, so come over here and best responses for your high C's. Do you guys see them up there? You're right. When your high C's are being critical, remember, that's coming from the inside and it is bothering them. They don't like it. They don't want to feel that way. Put them at ease so they can relax. They can release that pressure. You're right. Because a lot of what they're saying is right. Somebody should have followed a rule. Somebody should have done something. Something isn't going well. So they're right about that. Tell them they're right. I'm sorry. So they can breathe a little bit, especially if it's something that you did wrong. And then the last one is, thank you for being so helpful. And the reason why this one is so nice for your high C's that are managers, what do you think that they usually hear from people when they're talking? They're not helpful. All they do is complain. All you are is critical. Like, why? You never bring anything good to the table. All you ever want to do is tell us what's wrong. They're so sick of hearing that, you guys. They're sick of it. And they don't like it. They don't want to be that way. So, tell them what's helpful. And let's use a customer as an example. And I know we're talking about managers, but let's use a customer. Who do you get your best information from about how to improve your service? Your complainers. Your high C's. Your high C's tell you where all your problems are. You fix all those, your company is going to be amazing. Guess what? If you have a manager that's a high C, they're going to tell you all your problems. And they're going to tell you everything that's wrong. And all you got to do is listen to that and fix those things. And guess what? Your company is going to be better. And the thing that's going to be better are the policies and the rules and the way your company runs. Isn't that awesome? So the way you listen to your high C's is accepting. Accept them for how they are. But did you guys notice that we listen to our high D's accepting? We let them be angry because that's just an emotion that's popping up from them, right? Let them be angry. We don't want to let them abuse us, right? But still accepting of their style. Your high I's, we let them be gabby, be self-promoting. We let them do everything until it's our turn. Our high S's, we let them go flat. We let them hit everything real steady. And our high C's, the same thing. But the reason why your high C's are universally recognized as the most irritating is because for a lot of us, that is just hard. It's hard to accept. All right, so how to talk so your people will listen. For high D's, what? How are we talking? Direct, quick, fast, get to the point. Yes. How are we going to talk so our high I's will listen? Optimistic, smiling, cheery. What? Yes, emotionally. High I's love emotion. Yeah. How about high S's? Calm, steady, to the point. Right? How about high C's? Reassuring. They're good. They're okay. And this is also where our data comes in. High C's love data, right? Because that shows the rule, shows what's right. Well, I can see 100 is right, 85 is not, right? So high C's do love them some data. All right. And then how do we listen for our high D's? How do we listen? Accepting, and we got to stay calm because they're not, right? But don't we have to look like we're really listening? Yeah, we got to be paying close attention. We got to be in there. We can't be backing off. We can't be making the faces, right? All right, and how about our high I's? Nodding, Listening, yes. Smiling while they're talking, they'll keep going, yes. And then feedback for your high I's is that you liked what they had to say. Because a lot of times high I's get shut down for being either too talky, too wordy, too emotional. How about your high S's? How do we listen for our high S's to continue talking to us? How do we listen? Say it again. Patiently. Very patiently. We wait, we're calm, we're not busy, we're not big, we're not doing other things. Sitting still, slowly nodding, accepting. High S's also hint, love for you to write down what they say. So do C's. Write down what they say. And then last one is our high C's. How do we listen so that our high C's will talk? Non-judgmentally, y'all. I know this is really, really hard. High C's are like, but they bring up your ire. They make you feel frustrated. Non-judgmentally. I keep this in mind with my high C's. She's just nervous. She's just afraid that I'm going to say she's doing something wrong. So accepting. Very, very accepting. All right, let's see. We do not have very much time here. Actually, I think we're out of time. We're actually a minute over. If you have any questions that you'd like to have answered, I will be right over there after this event. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your help today.